Do you get into the trap of overthinking? Your mind is not your enemy. It's trying to keep you safe. And you're going to constantly be experiencing these thoughts. They represent limiting beliefs, things that you've been taught since you were little, since you were born, really, right? Like you're separate, like you're this physical being here on this planet, and that's all, nothing else. These are the types of things that sprout these anxieties, these limiting beliefs that come forward in the form of overthinking. And that overthinking is like a web. And if you're not careful, you could get stuck in that web and really tangle yourself up. So in this video, I want to talk about how we can identify the overthinking mind, the ego, and what you can do to really get out of its tentacles or get out of that web. First off, you got to realize that your mind is just trying to keep you safe. It doesn't like uncertainty. It doesn't like unfamiliar. When we move into these higher frequency ascension energies, DNA activates, new higher frequency energy moves through your body. The mind doesn't know how to process that. It really can't perceive it. So what it does is it kind of throws a little bit of a tantrum and starts throwing up stuff to get your attention. It knows exactly what's going to get your attention. It's the stuff that's going to bring up anxiety and fear, insecurities. You're not worthy, things like that. That's the stuff that's going to get your attention because that creates an emotion that you can attach to. And it's something very, very familiar. That's just the game. That's what it does. That's what it knows. And there's nothing wrong with that. The key is for you to be able to recognize when that is happening and make a choice in the moment to observe that and not identify with it. You see, when we identify with something, we put energy into it. We put our focus into it. Where our focus goes, our energy flows. And we actually make that thing more real. We create a reality that's of a lower frequency. And that is not where we want to be. These ascension energies are moving through us. Again, as our DNA activates, we are rising in frequency, and it's pushing all this stuff up to the surface. And this stuff's coming to the surface because our mind doesn't know how to process it. That's where we, as conscious beings, have to bring awareness to the process. Okay, so what you really need to do is be aware of what's happening and know that there is a new version of you stepping forward. And this version of you has knowledge, has knowing that your ego mind doesn't have. That ego is working from a very limited playbook, whatever it's been taught. And that playbook, guys, in today's world, in today's energy, it's obsolete. It's time to tear up that playbook. So it's very, very important to be aware of this. Now, I'm not saying try to stop these thoughts. The overthinking mind's going to do its thing. But what's going to happen is when we stop feeding it, it's going to start to slow down. The thoughts are going to slow down. And when they come up, we're going to very easily just allow them to pass through, right? And how do we do this? We do this by bringing our awareness, our focus away from the thoughts and into the body. We want to just be an observer of the thoughts. We want to feel the charge and let it go. We know that that is just a process of our mind trying to keep us safe. It's trying to distract us from something that it doesn't feel comfortable with, which is the new you, the real you that is landing, that is grounding, that is stepping forward. So we want to keep that in mind. That is very, very important. We want to breathe it into the body. Anytime we can bring awareness out of the mental field back to the body, we are creating space. And once that happens, again, it's like letting go of that bar and just kind of falling in, letting the singularity, your heart space, draw you back into the body. Do that using breath, deep breath into the lower lobes of the lungs will get you right into the body and establish a state of presence. As soon as you do that, you're going to feel a rush of energy coming up from your feet. That is you. That is the higher frequency version of you. It's going to move up. You're going to detach from the thoughts. And hey, you're going to be okay with those thoughts. They're not going to have meaning to you anymore. It's just an emotional, energetic charge. And when you could get to that state of being, you will take control over your life. We're going to relegate that ego to do what it does best, which is to keep you safe physically and work the tools that you're learning and that you know to help navigate your life. But you're going to be in full control of making the decisions. You see, that's what we talk about when we talk about unconscious versus conscious. When we're identifying with the thoughts that the ego is throwing up there all day long, we are unconscious. And then we become reactive to those thoughts. Maybe we make decisions that are not in alignment with our highest timeline, with our highest good. Decisions that keep us safe, or decisions that maybe prevent us from feeling the very things that are coming up to be felt. Things like that, that will take you off on a trajectory that is going to produce more of the same results. If you're trying to build a business and you're feeling these anxieties and things like that continually coming up, you're identifying with them and you're taking an action so that you don't have to feel them. They're going to continue to come up until you accept them, create that space, and allow them to be. Okay. And we allow them to be again by getting present. A lot of times during your day, you may have trouble identifying these thoughts, actually being aware of them. A lot of that stuff is subtle, almost beneath the surface. When you get into the situation where you're just kind of feeling low vibe, don't know why, breathe. Bring it to the body and breathe and bring forward that feeling and that knowing that everything is okay. When you get present, everything is okay in the present moment. There's no past. There's no future. It's all zipped up into the now moment, okay? And when we can get into a deep enough state of presence, we start to connect with multidimensional aspects of us. We start to connect with higher frequency timelines. Intuitive guidance comes through. All sorts of amazing things will come through in that now moment. And we get there by not living out here in the mental field where our ego is constantly trying to keep us down a road that it knows. Okay, so very, very powerful, very important. Know that you are the decision maker. You can make the choice at any given moment to let that go. Last night, I was in bed and I had an active mind. I had some weird stuff coming up, stuff that hasn't come up for me in a while. And I felt the anxiety slowly starting to build. It felt like a blanket was draping over me, very, very heavy. And I got present. I took some breaths, and all of a sudden, my Lyran guide came through. I have not had conscious interaction with her in a long time, and she came through with this voice that I knew, but wasn't real familiar because it had been a long time. And she started just bringing me this information, amazing information about what's happening, about the activation of our DNA. And how when our DNA activates, it could kind of make us perceive things in a really weird way. Now, I've been really feeling yesterday, especially ungrounded, very ungrounded, because of the expansion. As we expand and our high frequency light comes through, our field expands, and we can very easily attach to that and get pushed out here. And that creates this feeling of spaciousness, spaciness, ungroundedness, right? It's a very strange feeling. You guys, I know, have felt it. Drop a comment below if you have. I know you know what I'm talking about. So she told me to get back into the body, ground into the body. And these are things that I know, but sometimes when you're caught up in that mental energy, they're elusive. So I got present. She came through and she told me to continue to work on grounding myself because there's a lot of activations happening right now. Last night in particular, felt a lot of heart space activations, a lot of pressure and things in this area. So she told me to work with that. But the interesting thing I want to mention is right when she came through, because I was identified with my mind, I started questioning that communication. Okay, now I got centered and I knew that was her, but my mind still even came in at that point and said, is this really your guide, or is this not your guide? Are you making this up? Okay, and sometimes the line between imagination and reality can get a little blurred, right? Well, at that moment, I heard a bang on the wall right behind me, bang. And my guides will often do this to let me know that what I'm experiencing is authentic, okay? Because my mind will start to creep in, even in those situations. I get entrained to their frequency. I'll start to communicate, and then out of the blue, a rogue thought, this is a limiting belief programming, will pop up. So I got it back inside, bang. And it was funny because my wife even said to me, did you hear that? I said, yes, I did. And that happens frequently around here, but I was out of town. I was in Sedona last week for a few days, for 4 or 5 days. And she said to me, she goes, I didn't hear any of that knocking or tapping at all while you were gone. So very, very interesting. They will come forward like that, guys. The key is to not fight the thoughts, not resist the thoughts, allow the thoughts to be and bring it back in. And when a thought like I had with my guide, is this real, comes up to be, my ego starts questioning that thought. I bring it back center and bang, I get a little bit of an external validation there that I am in alignment and I am connected with my guide. So a lot of cool communication. I'm going to bring forward some of that in future videos. A lot regarding consciousness, the expansion, what's happening here, the planet, all of that, the solar flash kind of stuff that you guys are all interested in, more about that kind of thing coming through. So definitely subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. And guys, if you want to hook up on the website with my premium membership, we talk about this stuff twice a month. It's a great way to get on, ask questions, be with other like-minded light workers, starseeds, individuals, and really help to integrate this fine energy. So there is a link below to that membership. Definitely check that out. A lot of cool things to come, a lot of more channelings, awesomeness. So I am so excited and really looking forward to it. So we will talk soon. Thank you so much.